Good day and welcome. Today marks a new week of fresh and engaging edition of Political Spectrum, a program designed to help make sense of major developments in our nation's polity and political economy. Political Spectrum, as usual, comes to you live from Uyo, the state's capital. And I remain your host, Onumese Ehinoma Olusegun, welcoming you and wishing you a pleasant week ahead. All right, our conversations continue on political and economic developments around us. But first, on President Tinubu's administration's calendar, today is August the 21st, Monday, 2023, and it marks exactly 85 days of President Bola Tinubu in office as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is about 2 months and 24 days. And gradually moving to his first days in office that we're going to be analyzing as that very, very all-important day comes. We'll be analyzing it on the studio, so be sure to tune in. Now, we begin with the stories we have been monitoring over the weekend, especially that of the controversy around the all-important ministry of the Niger Delta. But before this big story, let us quickly take this once bordering on Nigeria's foremost economic and financial. Now, President Tinubu receives petition against Africa's richest man, Dangote. Over $3.4 billion siphoned, in quotes, through Nigeria's central bank. All right, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has received a petition against Africa's richest man, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, over $3.4 billion allegedly siphoned through the Central Bank of Nigeria. The petition, exclusively obtained, was attached to a letter addressed to President Tinubu and filed by Ahmed Fahad, a social justice advocate. It was dated 18th of August 2023, entitled Petition to President Tinubu Against Dangote, and copied to Jim Obaze, for those who remember, who was recently appointed by the president as the special investigator to probe the Central Bank of Nigeria and related entities. The petition accused Dangote of grossly violating the forex guidelines of the CBN for years. It alleged that the suspended CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, borrowed $1 billion from Afrexim Bank in the second quarter of 2023, out of which $750 million was illegally funneled to Dangote at a concessionary rate. It therefore urged the president investigate the flagrant violations of Nigeria's financial laws. Now, it is important to note that this was first exposed by Dr. Okpebanwo of Changed Vigilantes International CVI in his 2016 petition to former President Buhari. You can read that on our website, spectrumtv.ng, on the details that Dr. Okpebanwo had laid. Now, it noted that the brazen illegality involves a shocking violation of CBN guidelines, causing a $3.4 billion diversion from Nigeria's national treasury at rates between 150 and 200 US dollars, when the parallel exchange rate was far more than double that. This insidious financial maneuvering still threatens the very stability of our country's economy even till today, the allegations read. Now, outstandingly, this flagrant siphoning was carried out using a Form A instead of the legal route through Form M, which is tantamount to a gross violation of the law, as it offers no financial returns to our country. Now, the barefaced audacity of these financial transgressions is further displayed by several implicated banks which have audaciously sanctioned millions of dollars at the CBN rate to the Dangote Group, in direct violation of the CBN's instruction to source funds from the parallel or interbank market. These unscrupulous actions facilitated the illegal transfer of funds for supposed foreign investments, including the supposed construction of factories in countries like Congo and Liberia. Now, according to the petitioner, the funds were moved out of Nigeria with the alleged unlawful aim of industrial developments in other nations. while our own country, Nigeria, was left bereft of these much needed investments. Now, more worryingly, there are several instances, such as in Liberia, where promised factories were never built. The siphoned funds were instead reportedly transferred to Dangote's accounts abroad, thereby exploiting Form A for illicit cash movements that cannot be reclaimed by our country. The allegations is still saying. Now, the petition noted that the approval sought from money outside the CBN. Now, however, the funds were bought and transferred from the National Treasury with the CBN, which was illegal. On a continued basis over the years, and contrary to the approvals, Emefiele's CBN continued to illegally supply money from Nigeria's treasury at the cheaper rate to Dangote Group. This is an illegality that must be righted. The allegation said, "We enjoin you to direct the EFCC, ICPC, DSS, and other relevant security agencies to investigate these illegal acts against our economy and ensure these funds are returned. The time for a new era has come, an era where the rule of law supersedes illicit privileges, and economic justice becomes our national cornerstone." Now, by addressing this issue decisively, you will send a powerful message that corruption in all its forms will no longer be tolerated in our country. End of quote, from the letter petition to the CBN about how Dangote has, as we move to our next major story. Wait for it. Politicians planning to undermine election tribunal cases. That statement is credited to the plots by some unscrupulous elements, especially politicians and lawyers, to pressurize the judiciary into averting justice through fair hearing and judgments at election petition tribunals across the country. This in a statement signed by its chairman, Comrade Awal Musa Rafsanjani, also condemned how the federal government moved for silence all eyes on the judiciary campaigns, which were erected billboards with the inscription boldly carved on them across the major cities, including the Federal Capital Territory. Now, he argued that everyone should have keen interest in the activities of the judiciary to ensure that the critical arm of government is not arm-twisted. The statement partly reads, and I quote, "It is even more disheartening to see that at a time the need to thread even more carefully to ensure the judicial process to addressing petitions from the 2023 elections are seen to be fair has been disregarded." Now, TMG and many other civil society organizations, if allowed to persist, it will further erode citizens' trust in the judicial system to deliver justice. It is therefore important to protect the judiciary from political and corrupt politicians. At this point in time, when the outcome of the 2023 elections has resulted to an unprecedented number of cases before the court, the judiciary has inevitably been positioned as the last bearer of the light of rule of law, and has been Nigeria, through its chairmanship of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has taken upon itself the saddle of restoring democracy to the Republic of Niger. It must be pointed out that would have reduced the current burden on the judiciary if the Nigerian government would close its eyes and turn a deaf ear to revelations of bribery to judges to perverse justice at the election tribunal. Then there are no morals of Nigerians for democracy to be deepened in the country, as manifested in the 2023 election. Belief has been shifted to the judiciary to deliver justice. With the current revelations, it can be seen that there are ongoing attempts to further deny citizens the right to justice. These are situations that can lead to citizens viewing those in authority as illegitimate and breed anarchy consequently. It is therefore imperative for all those who love Nigeria to play their role in ensuring democracy is not derailed in Nigeria as a result of actions of greedy and corrupt politicians who will stop at nothing for personal aggrandizement. As we close, as have been observed, especially in the Federal Capital Territory, where citizens have emphasized their resort to the judiciary as a last hope of the justice by championing campaigns with keen interests on judicial activities around the election tribunals, using the hashtag all eyes on the judiciary hashtags and erecting billboards across the city, the actions of the federal government to pull the clamp down on the peaceful, harmless protest by citizens, and these actions are not tenable in a democracy. The critical arm of the government is not arm twisted in delivering political justice in Nigeria. Why should anyone be afraid of citizens' interest in the activities of any arm of government who is afraid of all eyes on the judiciary hashtag? Makes it obvious that some civil society organizations are worried about, yet again, one or twos, that are going around, that the executive may be trying to twist the judiciary. But hey, on this show, there are mere allegations. Thereafter, we'll be right back for our major story and just one other extra report related to that story. As usual, we're going to be having our guest citizen MKO help us dissect and make sense of this. This is Political Spectrum. Stay. Spectrum on Spectrum Television. And we just got reports from some of our correspondents that the swearing in of the ministers designates into substantive federal and state ministers is ongoing at present in Abuja. While we continue to monitor those developments, we'll run through our major Delta ministry. Now, President Bola Tinubu has approved the reassignment of portfolios to some of the minister designates. This was contained in a statement on Sunday by the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale. Recall that it led to an emergency meeting of the Board of Trustees, BOT, and the National Executive Committee of the Niger Delta Forum, Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, which held in Abuja on Friday the 18th, that is last week. The meeting was chaired by national leader, Chief Dr. Edwin K. Clark, OFRCON, and his attendants were National Chairman Senator Emmanuel Ibok, SCN, FNSC, members of Board of Trustees, as well as national and state officers. The meeting had raised 8 emergency points to the president. We guess the presidency saw the reasons and acted swiftly on the sensitive matter. Now, moving forward on the reassignment, according to the statement of the presidential spokesperson, Abubakar Momo was redeployed from Federal Ministry of Youth to the Ministry of the Niger Delta Development, while Adeboyega Oyetola was redeployed as the Minister of Designate soon, according to them, no specific date. Now, other intending cabinet members include Bumi Tunji Ojo and Honorable Saidu Alkali, who were redeployed as the Minister of Interior and Minister of Transportation, respectively. Now, in a new development, on this note, he stated that Senator Heineken Lokbobri has been assigned the portfolio of Minister of State for Oil, Petroleum Resources, while Ekpo was named the Minister of State Gas, Petroleum Resources. So both of them will be serving on that environment. Now, all aforementioned changes take immediate effect by these directives of the President, the statement added. Now, some of us can see clearly now why portfolios initially are not attached to the ministerial nominees to enable smooth, convenient adjustments by the President. The President prioritizes economy, security, as ministers take oath as we speak. Now, as the newly appointed ministers take their oath of office as we speak, it is reported that the priority of focus of federal government will be on the economy and security. Top presidents, it was further learned that the President might set targets and performance index for the cabinet members in order to create an immediate areas of blue economy, security, job creation, and anti-corruption. The President to his expectations from the ministers and also challenge them on how they can work together in synergy to actualize his program and policy as contained in his manifesto for economic development days after they were confirmed by the Senate. Like his predecessors, the President will head the Petroleum Ministry, while a former Senator Heineken Lokbobri is the Minister for State Petroleum Resources, although that has also been adjusted to gas and oil. The list indicated that remember that his 80-page manifesto containing multi-sectorial policy option tagged Renewed Hope 2023 Action Plan for a Better Nigeria, Tinubu, economy, agriculture, power, oil and gas, transportation, and education. He also outlined policy options for healthcare, digital economy, women empowerment, judicial reform, federalism, decentralization of power, and foreign policy. Ministry of Environment. He also appointed Abubakar Momo as Niger Delta Minister and reassigned Adeboyega Oyetola to the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy Technology. Momo was initially appointed as the Minister for Youth. Recall, the Federal Ministry of Youth is to be reassigned to the Minister designate soon. Adequate transportation arrangements have been concluded to convey ministers designate, and there are 3 guests to the venue. They are already at the venue. And then the permanent secretaries have been urged to meet their respective ministers immediately after swearing in, so that government, they can further have communications and interactions with the new minister. Live in Abuja, they're taking their oaths of office, and thereafter they will become substantive ministers, where government will be performing all its developmental strategies to ministers. And we hope sincerely is created to be able to create or to be able to cater to my special guest for Mondays. I love to start the week with you. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Citizen MKO is the Coordinator General of Open Forum, is a dogged civil society person.
I'm sorry to say I don't have weekends. I work virtually.
Even on Sundays?
Yeah.
Hope you have time to serve God, whichever way you serve God. Anyway.
Yeah, my work, actually my work is service to God.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a believer, not just a believer. I practice in humanity.
So I'm okay to call you a Christian, right?
Yes, I am. I'm an ordained elder in the church.
Because you were making it a lot of questions and not ask how you're doing. Because you're human.
You're good at your work.
You're welcome. You're welcome on the show.
Thank you.
You're very welcome on the show. Some will bring in their wives and 2 sons or 2 daughters. Some will be coming with their friends. Some will be coming with their political allies.
Live in partisanship. After elections, everybody must join hands to make sure whichever government emerges succeeds. The only unfortunate thing is that because of failing rated, what do you call it now, the Electoral Act as amended, will have addressed the issue of litigations before swearing in.
Okay.
So for me, it's bad, and we should look at all eyes on judiciary and all of that. The consciousness is that virtually all the administrations, all the governments, local, at the state and national, they are just like an interim arrangement until the judiciary definitely is not
amongst the few people who think that anything can happen.
No, even those in power
Okay.
are likely the problem of this country. The important thing is those in office at the state level, we have to support them. Those at the national, as we are speaking now, we must support them to succeed, because it's not about them. It's about we, the people, we, the citizens. Yes, we must be able to bring out the best in them. After all, we have a situation where in a state, all the former cabinet members, you didn't even do well, were returned. But what do? You're going to work with them. The difference is that you must extract something from them. Because God forbid if they bring what Asiwaju has brought in so much difference in terms that it's not somebody like who is there, Kayemo, who was the Minister of State, that has repeated and has controversial.
Then he was Minister of State.
Minister of State.
All right, moving into let's pick a few of the reports we've been following.
Yeah.
The very first, quite a disturbing one, was the first 50 richest in the world now, valued between 16 and 18 billion dollars. Aliko Dangote, for violating CBN rules of foreign exchange transactions. Allegations first. I know he's not one of the, he's just one out of a lot of other big names, that have been involved in this. Yet, Emefiele under, the radar again. Yeah. What do you make of all this?
Well, the arrests, detention, and prosecution of Godwin Emefiele is going to open can of worms. I'm not surprised that that person has also copied out that very issue. The movement of foreign exchange, not at the prevalent rate, but at a rate that is ridiculous. And when you also look at, he's been doing the kind of maneuvering since the Naira, since his aspiration, the Naira change, the allegation that he was funding terrorism. At that commissioner of the commissioning, in quotes, of the refinery, which has remained uncompleted, he said, they thought we couldn't do it. We have done it. And some of us were asking,
who are the we?
Who are the we? This is supposed to be a private almost immediately. So the question arose when he went further to add that Dangote has refunded 70% of the loan federal government gave to him. 70%.
According to the CBN governor.
According to CBN governor.
And the refinery has not even started working.
The refinery has not started working? Where did he get the money? Refinery almost in the world.
The biggest modular refinery.
Yes, and then what are we talking about? The issue of the government's investment in it, just 20%. So I raised the statement refinery.
No, but that's never been hidden. We hear that he is a majority stakeholder. It's not 100% his own.
There are stories.
There's also a possibility, not even a possibility, we've also heard that a significant fraction of it is owned by government.
20%. Government have been clear on that 20%.
Exactly.
But then how is
Although
able to fund
is
in that refinery?
it's possible.
Yeah. They have not been able to see them through the records here and there, but that's not even the issue. The issue is that Emefiele, to commend what is his name? The person that raised the petition, because there's no two ways about it. What has been going on in this country over some years now calls for proof. To be deceiving ourselves that we are running a country which we hope to work, whereas some persons have taken us for a ride.
Without an executive approval, from the presidency, which is his president then was Muhammadu Buhari.
Yeah.
Now he's no longer in the administration, and it seems it's Emefiele that's taking the whole fall. What is going on? Is it that
under investigation officially, and that tells you that the previous administration under Buhari, CBN governor, or a minister for finance, even at the state level, commissioner for finance, just know that the governor of that state
is on trial. Okay.
The same applies at
the CBN. Technically so.
Technically so.
But you're saying it hasn't gotten to the level where he probably may be invited.
By the time the records are unveiled,
are opened,
the efforts he had, he was always quoting, I got Mr. President's approval. Even when the Minister of Finance was saying that, I am not aware of this. He said it was discussed at the Federal Executive Council.
Or when 2-point-something trillion was suddenly discovered in the account.
Yeah, so a number of things went wrong.
Okay.
But because politicians have taken for granted that citizens, particularly Nigerians, before now, I want to say before now,
okay,
threw up an issue. And from one to another one, but things have changed. Yeah, sincerely.
Okay, but why we still have this conversation,
yes,
citizen? A lot of people will argue that is investigated or certain things crop up. There is a way Muhammadu Buhari is shielded from it. It's not the first, it's not the second.
Shielding, I don't believe in that, because when you see some
But you agree that for a long time,
it's for those who are gullible to believe that. These are just obvious. You cannot find somebody that is trying to hide behind one finger, and you take that person seriously.
True, but that no questions are raised, no issues are raised against him, or maybe at some point.
Yeah, as a sitting president is immunity.
Article 2.
Sitting governors,
308.
There's immunity.
I remember.
But you look at the issues involved. For instance, that central bank was printing money secretly. And the first person that openly raised the alarm
was the governor
of Edo State, who said, billion to augment to what was said to us. And I remember when the central bank governor, about 2-3 days after, was reacting to it, he couldn't deny it. He was sweating. He was mopping sweat in public.
Yeah.
He's saying that people should beware how they talk. But what did we have?
He was referring to the governor.
Referring to
the governor.
Governor Obaseki. At the twilight of the end of the administration, Mr. President sent a bill to the National Assembly requesting for approval for 23 trillion that was illegally printed to augment for whatever. He never got approval.
No, but it wasn't put that way. There was a agency transmitted that letter.
Yes.
That wasn't how it was titled, was that?
Yeah, that's how it was titled. He needed approval for those things that were done without approval, but otherwise the system was going to collapse.
Yes.
And initially, they did not approve it, but eventually, Trust Lawan's tenure, he had said it openly that whatever you bring, we will approve.
To make things easy for you, according to him.
It's not a matter, that's only God knows how many trillions we will have owed by now. And you now come to discover from the investigation so far that central bank had gotten how much? About 15.
JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs.
Exactly.
$15 billion.
$1 billion. Secret loan again. Which means these people, like analysts, civil society people have been saying, all is not well. But we had,
all is not well.
We had people that had turned President Buhari into a deity, which the man was not.
Exactly.
And now,
when under President Muhammadu Buhari, there was a move to also borrow from the pensions fund. Trillions, you remember?
No, they were taking some, not that.
They were already taking.
They were already taking. It's just that when this thing leaks, they will now find a way to douse attention or distract.
Yeah, it was in mainstream media that federal government had borrowed trillions from the pensions fund.
Nothing worked under the last administration. And as we have gotten to know now, over 90% of our entire revenue is used in debt servicing.
Yeah.
It is have been able to achieve a lot by maybe dangling some petty things at some people that are vocal,
as
so that
distraction.
those distractions, those that are vocal, those that are trying to make this system work, they will brand you anti-system. Unfortunately, most eyes are always at the national, but at various states, local government that didn't even exist, the rot is as bad, not just to step on toes, but to crush toes. If Nigeria is to come out from the quagmire we've been pushed in.
So far so good. With a few of the things he had dropped, would you agree that his body language senses that he is here to take off heads, if need be, to ensure that the economy bounces back? Are you convinced?
I'm not convinced because of what is happening. I'm convinced because of the seeming responsiveness nature of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the fact that citizens, because of the outcome of the last election, most citizens have been radicalized positively. They have become so conscious. He doesn't hold any position, so you can tell him anything, he will go to sleep with it. Anybody that thinks like that in this present Nigeria is deceiving himself. So the level of engagement of citizens and the approach is such that you can't send the military after them. Yes, advocacy. Bring the alternative to the table. You won't be able to bring. You wouldn't even have the table because people have destroyed. Some people have destroyed the table. That's why I want to advocate that going forward, the present National Assembly should look at how to think candidates for elections. We should not be talking about people not being qualified to have contested elections.
After the election.
After the election, no.
That's pretty ugly.
Anybody who goes to court, if found guilty, the screening authorities must pay for it. You can't allow somebody that is not qualified to stand election. We should be looking at the issue of, election was not free and fair.
Not qualification.
Then nobody should be sworn in
until this case. So which means that the Electoral Act, I can't remember now whether it's the pre or post, would need to be, modified. Because the Constitution allows for 180 days.
Yes.
180 days to be stretched, let's say, the Election Petition Tribunal, and then about a month or about 30 days for the Supreme Court.
No, it's
180 days.
It's not necessary.
Okay.
Which means we need to conduct elections. We need to reduce that timeline.
Yes.
Because for 6 months, it's unnecessary.
Completely unnecessary.
Yeah, it's unnecessary.
All right. This is Political Spectrum, if you're just tuned in. And we've been discussing a lot of issues. We'll now be moving to the ministerial oaths. But first off, we'll look at the reassignments. We learned that there is now a substantive minister of the Ministry of the Niger Delta, Abubakar Momo. Abubakar Momo hails from Edo State and not the north, like a lot of media have portrayed. Abubakar Momo is from the Esako part, Edo North Senatorial District of Edo State. He's an Edo State indigene And Edo is one of the states under the Niger Delta known for producing oil and gas. So it's still within its purview. Adigboyega Oyetola has also been reassigned. Saliu Al-Khali has been also reassigned. Bumi Tunji Ojo, Heineken Lokbobiri, then Ekperikbo Ekpo from Akwa Ibom here has also been. The interesting part of it is that the Ministry of Petroleum Resources now has three major arms: the Substantive Ministry of Petroleum Resources, then State Minister Oil, Petroleum Resources, and State Minister Gas, Petroleum Resources. Speak to all this.
I want to, first of all, commend His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. When he released the portfolios in ministries, and I did not see two very important ministries, that's Ministry of Petroleum Resources and Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, now called Ministry of Niger Delta Development. I particularly like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Asiwaju wants to test waters. Niger Delta have been deprived. Niger Delta have been raped over the years.
For a long time.
Over the years. And all this, the first was an intervention agency by 2000, the then President Olusegun Obasanjo changed UNPADEC to NDDC, Niger Delta Development for now. And then it wasn't enough. Particularly, I was a Deputy State Chairman of Action Congress.
As a then?
As a then, 2016, 2017.
I remember.
We now went for campaign. I think was it flag off of Atiku Abubakar was a presidential candidate. He said, how was Abuja built? Abuja was built because it had a master plan and a clear funding plan. Niger Delta provides the resources that have been used to develop Abuja and even the country. So his plan, as at then, was that if he becomes the president, he was going to create a Ministry of Niger Delta, and specific amount will be dedicated, and there will be a master plan for Niger Delta. My heart glowed.
Anybody would like that kind of statement.
But what happened? He did not win. That was 2017. But by 2018, the winner of that 2017 election, 2007 election, late Yaradua, a wonderful president, adopted the idea. It was not part of the PDP campaign plan. It wasn't part of the PDP promise. But he saw reason that Niger Delta should have a ministry, and he created Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs in 2008. Commendable. But there are more issues who directly benefits from oil. As the governor, Mobo, that is drilling here in Akwa Ibom State, has head office in Lagos. You know how much taxes is paid there. And other things. I don't want to go to details. He knows what it means that the region that has been so impoverished, the environment completely destroyed, the level of poverty here is the worst in the whole planet Earth, where oil is gotten from. For you to come and scrap Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs was a direct affront on the people of Niger Delta.
That scrapping the Ministry of Niger Delta, Ministry of the Niger Delta. There's been a lot of arguments that it could just be a mere omission.
No, I disagree.
It could just be a mere omission.
I disagree.
And if it is at the level of omission, it's even worse. Because how can a whole Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs be omitted? Because if you look at the speed with which he responded immediately after the PANDEF people headed by Dr. Edwin Clark held a meeting.
Chief Edwin Clark.
And put up 8 major points of demand as soon as possible. The way the whole thing was rectified immediately could have been an omission. You say you disagree?
No, listen. Politicians are very intentional. They may appear to not to know what to do or to be needy. They may appear not to have vision. What they have in excess is vision for what they want. Nobody can deny that. If you don't know that as a Nigerian, then you may not be able to get help anywhere. So it was intentional, but it's also a plus to him. When you have a leader that is responsive to development, that is really commendable. Some others don't. I've been a victim of a leader who was irresponsive and insensitive, and he does it with impunity. Even as a people of this country, okay. we just came out from one.
Okay.
You don't care. At highest, you say, I'm not aware. Even people have died, thousands of people killed, and somebody who's supposed to be responsible for the welfare and security of citizens say, I'm not aware. So I give him credit.
So it wasn't omitted in the first place?
Of the
Edwin
leader,
Clark
Edwin Clark, and then Senator Emmanuel Ibokwe, who's the national chairman. He's from Akwa Ibom State.
Yes, from Akwa Ibom
They
State.
both signed that communique. It was done on Friday. And as soon as I saw it, I had to even, I tried to reach out to the senator to commend him for what he has done.
Immediate
and
action.
when I saw the press release from Gilari, I quickly had to forward and say,
appreciations, we've gotten results.
This is commendable.
Yeah.
This is how people or groups should speak for their people.
Has President Tinubu bowed to pressure, pandemic pressure?
Yes.
Would you say he bowed to pressure?
Honorably. It's not an indictment. It's a plus.
So you still don't see it as, oh, this was an omission. Now that these people have started this, let's just quickly rectify it. You don't say that way. Because you feel it's too sophisticated to have omitted such.
It was intentional.
A portfolio.
And you know one thing,
intentional, what could have been his initial reason?
What?
Because journalists have argued, of course, you know, the media is very interesting, that argued that maybe in some sources that some senior politicians had said, why duplicate the Ministry of the Niger Delta with the NDDC? One of them can function, forgetting that NDDC is a department or parastatal under the Ministry of Niger Delta
Affairs. Is likely the only ministry in this country with possibly just one parastatal.
One parastatal.
If you go to education, there are about 24 to 25 parastatals.
Agriculture, close to 20.
You go to agriculture, agriculture is over 20, about 23 to 25 parastatals. And then a state of emergency had been declared by the current administration on agriculture. In fact, that's one ministry that Mr. President should even head. For one, there is no minister yet for petroleum. And that still has to do with Niger Delta. We have to be clear on this. We have to be clear.
No, the fact that the presidency has even further divided the petroleum ministry into oil and gas for state already shows that it's towing the line of his predecessors by being the substantive minister of petroleum resources.
Until that is pronounced.
Until an official communication is
nominee, Mr. Nominee, the name must be forwarded to the National Assembly for screening.
So if the president is interested in being a minister, his name must also be submitted and it must be screened.
Let me take you back some years back under President Buhari. He said he was going to be the minister for petroleum. They said, okay,
he communicated it.
Send your name. Forward it. We are going to screen you. The name was withdrawn. He never appeared.
And after the entire screening process, he named himself a minister of petroleum. He named himself the minister of
petroleum and plunged us to where we are now. I mean, some people, like when you hear people talk about juicy ministries, juicy parastatals, the mentality is that what is there, don't leave it to, hold it by yourself.
As the president.
As the president.
So you are saying that was exactly what Obasanjo saw too, because Obasanjo was the first to do that.
Yeah. I tell you sincerely, when we have somebody who's going to carry broom in this country, we're going to become the richest in terms of available cash for things, the richest country on planet Earth. Why? Because those looted funds have not been thrown away.
True.
They have been used to raise either structures. Some of them are cooling off somewhere, and they can be traced, like the oil theft.
You mean the ones that have been repatriated or the ones still in the foreign banks?
Still there in foreign banks. They can be recouped. So the mentality should not be, there's so much there, keep that one, keep it for what? So that you can control it. Like the issue of some persons, in fact, it's in the public domain.
Yeah, it is.
We're eyeing that, they would now return NDDC to be under the supervision of the office
presidency.
Of the presidency.
Yeah.
And within the presidency, it's in public domain. They said, the chief of staff is fighting with the SGF on who is to control this. I said, what kind of, these are clowns. You don't even bring this to where intelligent people are. Because Niger Delta people have dropped militancy, not that our condition has improved.
Yeah.
You need to know that the fault of NDDC, and even the Ministry of Niger Delta not functioning according to the mandate is because of federal government.
But all those arguments.
No, it's not. What has been the funding of NDDC like from inception?
It's in public domain that NDDC may even be more funded than the Ministry of Niger Delta. Recall. No, hang on. Yeah. Recall the serious scuffle between the then Minister of Niger Delta, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and the director of the NDDC, Joy Nunye. Howbeit, even a short-term director.
There's something bigger than that. You need to look at the bigger picture.
It was serious.
No.
Because Joy Nunye made a lot of assertions. I've been interested in torchlighting all the funds coming in, how they are dispersed, and what they are used to do, and what they should be used to do. A lot of things. I had the video for a long time. I could still get those videos back.
Like I've just told you, there is a bigger picture to this. The bigger picture is how is the ministry of, not ministry now, NDDC to be funded.
Okay.
Under the NDDC Establishment Act.
Yeah. 3
sources of oil, all the oil companies, local and international, operating. 3% is to be remitted to NDDC. Second, 15% of the revenue of oil producing states is to be sent
through federal government or through the states.
By whatever means the federal government should be deducting.
Yes, it's federal government that does the deductions. Okay.
You know what that means? That is true. Then 50% of ecological funds entitled by states of the Niger Delta, oil producing states. 50%
of it goes to the NDDC.
Goes to NDDC.
And someone would argue that the NDDC doesn't enjoy more funding than the Ministry of Niger Delta.
What's the mystery? The mystery is that such funding has never been actualized. Funding issue, no remittance, until they even had to get a consultant.
Then presidency also puts in their puppets as directors of the NDDC.
Virtually everybody that headed NDDC as MD or as chairman
are all loyal to the presidency.
Not just being loyal, they always stayed there to want to contest the governorship of their states. They saw that place, I don't know, let me not call whatever name they used to call it up till now, so that whatever fund is there is for the people administering. But meanwhile, these funds are grossly insufficient. As we speak with you, it was just 2021 when Godswill Akpabio, Senator Godswill Akpabio was the minister.
Interesting.
Yeah. He made a statement when they came for a retreat here that about 3 trillion have not been remitted to NDDC.
Yeah. And during the investigation, they were investigating close to about between 6 and 9 trillion.
The indebtedness alone, indebtedness, and what NDDC is owing contractors, over 3 trillion.
And a lot of uncompleted projects across the length and breadth of the Niger Delta. 13,000, and a number never, ever remained the same ever since they got involved in NDDC contract far back. Because they were never paid.
They have sold their assets.
With the hope that they will be paid.
Yes, and not even a consultant.
I'm enjoying this line of thought. Yeah. And I appreciate the fact that you are educating a lot of us here in the Niger Delta. A lot of people who may have gotten all these things misconstrued.
Exactly.
But still in line of your thought.
Yes.
From the other side, a lot of people have said, There's been a lot of money. There's NDDC, there's Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, there's 13% derivation, but yet there's no development in the Niger Delta.
Yeah.
And then they want to underscore their arguments by blaming it on the leaders of those parastatals and the substantive executive governors of each state of the Niger Delta.
I have a simple answer.
How would you say that the arguments are valid? Or would you stick to your argument that the presidency ab initio had always made that ministry in such a way that it was never going to perform its objective?
It's from all angles. The first of all is that Nigeria has a very peculiar ailment which leaders don't want it cured. South and Niger Delta is not immune to that. And what is that ailment? Corruption. Right from when he was on PADEC, the pioneer MD was Chief A.K. Hosford.
Yeah, Hosford.
And then Professor Opia,
Okay.
Eric Opia, came in. Corruption. Right from onset. And then...
So right from the onset, what was the cause of the corruption?
You know, because when people are not accountable and nobody holds them accountable.
The system was designed in such a way that they do not owe anybody accountability.
Oh, you just nailed it. The system was designed to reward some persons and make some persons outside the Niger Delta benefit from the Niger Delta. What on earth will make a parastatal to be domiciled in the office of the president, where people will sit in the presidency and be sending names of contractors, be demanding for this and that, like we get to hear? And why would a president who will have done the best thing for the Niger Delta, but decided to destroy it at the end of it? The last president, General Muhammadu Buhari, he set up a forensic audit, first in history. For 20 years, Akpabio will have been eliminated because of, you know, carrying that kind of load on his head. He was invited to the National Assembly and they had to off the mic. And one thing led to another, somebody collapsed there, and one thing led to another. Finally,
I don't mean to derail you, but Buhari's audit,
yes,
people have argued again that it was a tactical delay to deny Niger Deltans from serving in those boards.
No, not at all. What he did remains commendable, but for the fact that he himself received the report and refused to make it public shows that the problem of Niger Delta...
So the arguments are valid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's not just from us. Yeah, we are not from Niger Delta, but you have seen the corruption in the Niger Delta and said you want to clean it up, you want to start afresh, and you did what you did. You have the report. And why? Because the people that have been guilty are in your party. You don't want to rock the boat because just leave it like that. It's an indictment. But the long and short is that the corruption in the country, Niger Delta is not immune. In terms of funding, the federal government, the oil companies are as guilty, as they will say, as guilty as hell by not giving what is due to Niger Delta. So
and even Niger Delta leaders are also guilty by plundering the resources.
Good. Now come to Niger Delta. There are states, like when we had the last MBS data on the poverty rate. You
133 million.
You saw no. For South. Okay,
for South.
You know
I think poverty. I think
you know the state.
I think Akwa Ibom was about number 1 or number 2.
No, Akwa Ibom is number 3 by virtue of percentage.
No, by virtue of
71%.
Yeah.
But because of our population,
that's huge.
5.04 or so million multi-dimensionally poor, with the highest in Niger Delta, Akwa Ibom State.
By number.
By number.
But by percentage.
By percentage, Bayelsa State, with 8 local government areas,
has more poor people.
The poorest.
So even poverty resides in the Niger Delta states.
No. Naturally, poverty has always resided here because the wealth of this land
is being plundered. Is being looted. The people who are benefiting from the wealth of this land can't even reside here.
You come to Akwa Ibom, they can't stay there. It's an indictment on leaders that where you get resources that makes you to even drive a private jet. The source, those people don't have water to drink. Some of them are still walking naked, like prehistoric people. So Niger Delta from time have been impoverished. Those that are doing we are coastal people.
Yes, we are.
No more fish. Those that are supposed to do farming
because of oil spills, aquatic life completely dead.
The essence of Niger Delta, the NDDC, and the ministry have been negated, both by the federal government because of lack of funding, because of lack of supervision, and then the people who are so corrupt. Recently we just had a directive from the president. Mr. President, again, we're not talking about presidency like before, God forbid here. So he said, if you have been a director for ADS, the civil service rule says, after ADS,
you exit.
You exit.
But we're hearing that over 500 directors and board
NDDC,
members and all that.
All of them.
All ministries under the federal government. Over 500.
Yes.
Refused to.
They are going. And in fact, some of them should be refunding what they were collecting.
As at when the announcement.
Exit. So,
okay, real quick, we are short of time. Comrade, I know you have a lot to talk about. Let's go through, it's important we go through those 8 point agenda of the PANDEF to the federal government when it thought that the Ministry of Niger Delta had been scrapped. I don't know whether my producer still has that slide. The PANDEF 8-point agenda. They say the communique issued at the emergency meeting of the Board of Trustees and the Executive Committee, National Executive of PANDEF, held in Abuja. All right, let's go through them. Let's see the first one. The first one says, it expresses great surprise that the published assignment of ministers to their various cabinet portfolios, there is none designated for Ministry of, we've passed that. Yeah. Then the second one reminds President that the Ministry of Niger Delta was created specifically to focus on infrastructural development and youth empowerment. We've go through that. And the third one says that the ministry, which was created by President Umar Musa Yar'Adua in 2008 and was sustained under his 2 immediate predecessors, Goodluck and Muhammadu, is to help advance the cause of peace in the Niger Delta. Let's go to the fourth one. The fifth says cautions that any misguided step towards scrapping the submerging ministries will create unfavorable environmental and adverse consequences. Now, that was the point I wanted to raise. Is that not a subtle threat to the presidency?
In fact, advocating for, they now use religion as the basis of their agitations. But the Niger Delta people, not that we have gotten what we wanted or what we want or what we deserve, but we've been very peaceful. That's why the people are still able to steal the oil and even steal the money and do the subsidy scam and the rest, like Mr. President clearly said. So they were very, very matured in that statement.
Okay.
Those are our elders among elders.
Okay.
If the youth were to speak like activists, it would have been stronger than that. It would have been signals.
Okay.
Under normal circumstance, the youth should have taken to the street to say that attempt, don't even contemplate it. But our elders met immediately.
Okay.
And they must have spoken to the youth, and youths are very, very, very disciplined. They just kept quiet. And Mr. President, like I keep commending him, I'll commend him till tomorrow over these matters like this, very proactive. This meeting was held in Abuja on Friday. But yesterday, Sunday, he was able to come out with a result that is quite okay. He has not merged the ministry. And that will have been another thing complete. Don't merge it. We are trying to solve problem here. So you don't create problems like some people do. Yeah. You don't walk from answer to question. Yeah, you walk from questions to answer. Yes. So, Mr. President has done well. Okay. And I even like the name, Ministry of Niger Delta Development. But I have advocacy.
No, but it's really, a lot of people argue that it's not about nomenclature.
No, it also matters.
Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, that they are fanciful names. We want to begin to see results. If we stick,
there's advocacy that we have to drop.
If we stick to the conversation of Niger Delta, we
no,
will not
it's not enough.
we will not live here.
We need to drop something on the table.
Okay, all right, real quick.
Decentralization of NDDC.
Okay.
The name should also be changed. There are states who are not in Niger Delta who are members of the NDDC.
Because they are oil producing.
No. Now we find oil in the north. What are you going to do? So we create something like
but
oil
it has not
and gas
it has not been communicated that in the north there is substantial commercial quantity of oil.
Oh, they're drilling. Those are questions for
another
another
day.
day.
Commercial quantity?
But that's what they told us. We
Okay,
don't know.
time is going. All right, let's join all the mainstream media showing the oath-taking of the ministers as we speak in Abuja. And let's use the conversations around ministers and their responsibilities to end this program. You can see it's a very colorful occasion. Everybody is well seated. All the minister designates are properly dressed with 3 each of their guests. And this is these ministers as they take their oath. You can see them.
People should bring something to the table.
Okay.
It's not enough to be going about because...
Okay, to be more specific.
Yes.
To be more specific. Wale Edu, coordinating minister of the economy. What do we expect?
The economy is in shambles.
Okay.
It should not hide anything. Nobody should be covered. An attempt to cover those that plundered this country and made us to be almost, in fact, by World Bank and IMF estimate by 2024, over 100% of our revenues will not be able to service our debt. Servicing, not repayment.
Yeah.
So we must know the truth. As when you know the truth sets you free. So Wale Edu is highly respected and has the confidence of Mr. President.
Yeah.
He has to deliver. Mr. President is not going to be the minister. So he must bring things to the table.
But Mr. President is telling you that he's Minister of Petroleum Resources.
No, not. I'm saying that Wale is the Minister for Finance.
Yes, and coordinating Minister of the Economy. Yeah, true.
Very commendable. The kind of thing that our lady Okonjo-Iweala did. It's an enormous task.
Yeah.
We are in a mess. Those that don't know are the ones pretending that others don't know, but we know that they know. So we must let the world know that economically we don't have it. All our earnings goes on debt servicing. There's no two ways about it. These people we entered one chance boss.
Meanwhile, the immediate past Minister of Finance was saying that our borrowing limit has not even been reached.
For people like us, we wouldn't take out for anything.
We should not be worried about governments. Is that not wickedness?
That was clear with it. I think there are people that will speak, and some of us...
I can't remember her name, but I know she's Fulani. She's from the north.
I don't know if
she was the one who replaced the Yoruba woman.
Or something. I can't remember whatever is the case. But, you know, when you see people like that, you know that you are in a one-chance boss. You need to save yourself. Yes, clearly. Clearly. They knew we were in trouble. The borrowings, the secret borrowing, the printing of money to be shared.
Yes.
They knew it.
To cover up
that was why Naira fell.
The value completely
Maybe
crashed.
they thought we were just going to die off. Okay. They will never live to give account. Okay. As we wrap up now, I want you to say something, speak to this, the reassignments, especially the petroleum resources. You now have Heineken Lokpobri and Ekpo from Akwa Ibom as state ministers for oil and gas. You think it's good, or you think that's completely inconsequential? No, it is very good. The restructuring of that ministry. No, I commend that, but I still have issue that we need to have a minister for petroleum sworn in, or else we know that. We allow those two ministries to remain and be accountable to the people and bring out the corruption, the falsehood, the deception, the lies that have plunged us to where we are. Outside of that, there will be no way out. Like I said earlier, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu must fight corruption. And in fighting corruption, you will step on toes and crush some toes. And a number of those toes may be associates.
Okay. All right. We can see the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed, having a conversation one-on-one with each of the ministerial designates. Recall that once they become sworn in, they become substantive ministers, albeit senior or state ministers. We want to, on behalf of management of staff, also congratulate them and also use the opportunity to remind them that there is enormity in the task and the responsibilities ahead of them.
Yeah. But for me, it's a very low-hanging fruit. Nigerians, the level of consciousness that we have, and the fact that, like I've said, it doesn't matter if your case is in court, you are on the saddle, you must deliver. Even those that may likely go back home from where they are after the court, but you must be able to deliver. And how do you deliver? By ensuring that you are productive and you are accountable. Most public office holders avoid these two key areas like plague because they will not be able, they judge themselves by how much they're able to accumulate.
Exactly.
And how the impunity they are able to bring to the table.
And how many people they are able to connect with.
Yes. So
those are their measures of powers and influence.
Yes, and that is embarrassing.
Citizen,
embarrassing.
it's a fine place to live here. The conversations about our dear nation cannot be exhausted in one fell swoop.
At all.
All right, this regrettably is the end of the conversation part. I'm sure our producers will be linking up with the Nigerian Television Authority to bring to you more of those video feeds from Abuja, where we'll be monitoring the swearing in of the ministers to become their substantive ministers. Citizen MQ, it's always nice to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So until our next edition, I'll say keep out of trouble. And let's continue to monitor these things as they come to the fore. All right, from the studios, I want to sign out. I remain yours sincerely, Onwese Hinoma Olusegun. Quickly, remember that majority of our conversations are on YouTube, Spectrum Television, or you can go on our website, www.spectrumtv.ng. Austin Honor is one word, AUSTINEONA. Remember, our conversations for nation building continues. See you tomorrow. Have a great day.